Hello, I am Krishnam Rastogi from Informatica GCS MDM team. In this video, we'll discuss about how to install Reference Data Management Accelerator on Master Data Management 10.4.x. Agenda for the video will be importing ORS metadata into blank ORS, then importing the data writer application, then deploying the RDM related WAR and the ER files, then deploying the ActiveOS BPRs. After that, populating the lookup data, and then configuring the SOAP services. Prerequisites will be the MDM 10.4.x hub server and the process server should be installed and up and running. A blank ORS, that is the create ORS and the import ORS scripts, have already been run. Any SQL script running tools such as SSMS, SQL Developer, etc., so that we can import the lookup data, and Apache and version 1.10.12. So coming on to our first step, importing ORS metadata. For that, we'll be logging into the hub console and registering a blank ORS. And in that blank ORS, we'll enable the hierarchies and import the RDM hub change.xml. Coming on to the demo part. This is our hub console. I'll register an ORS over here. And I've already run the import ORS and the create ORS scripts. Okay. Now, as we can see, this is a blank ORS. There is no base object or landing table or anything. First, we'll enable the hierarchies. Now we can see the hierarchies are enabled and the 3 hierarchy related BO classes are added. Now we'll validate the repository first before importing the change list. Now we'll be promoting the change list to this RDM hub ORS. The change list will be present in the installer directory hub change_xml RDM hub change.xml. Now the change list is successfully applied. Before moving forward, we'll first validate the repository again. And now in the next step, it's the import the data director application into Bddconfig. For that, we'll be first logging into the Bddconfig URL and then clicking on import the complete IDD zip application. Coming here to the Bddconfig. Over here, we can see import complete IDD application zip. We'll choose this option and browse for the file. So it is present in the installers IDD config this zip file. We'll just click on it and select it and click on import. After that, we'll bind it with the RDM hub ORS and save it. As we can see, there is no error. Click on OK and set the full deployment. Now the application is completely deployed. Now we can move on to our next step, that is build and deploy the ER or WAR files. For that, we'll first, before building the ER file, we'll first change some connection parameters. For that, we'll have to come to this directory, the app folder, the config. Here we can see there are 2 properties files. Opening the first one, here we can see the client protocol is HTTP and the host and the port is not given. So we'll be entering our host port. For me, it is localhost and port is 8080. And similarly in the second file as well, the required parameter is client ORS ID. So the ORS ID we can get from Hub console. This is the ORS ID. And since we are not going to use the EJB protocol, we'll be using the HTTP. I'll uncomment this property and make the changes in this URL. Okay, now we're good. Now we'll be using ant to run the script, that is to build the war files. So for ant, I have not installed the ant, but I have it over here. So coming onto this directory, and I'll just copy the paths. And ant update RDM war. This is the first command that we'll be using. As we can see, the war file has been completely updated. Coming on to the next one, update RDM external call underscore ER. Now we can see the build is successful. These ER and the war files are generated in this directory. We will just copy these files and deploy it on our application server. For me, it is JBoss, so I am just pasting it in the deployments folder. It's in deploying state, and it will deploy in a couple of seconds. Yeah, it is deployed. Now, coming on to the next step, we need to deploy the Activos related BPRs. For that, we'll be logging into the Activos admin console, and then we'll be deploying the infra RDM workflow.bpr, followed by adding some URN mappings. Coming to the demo, we'll first come to this Activos console, and then we can see here is this deploy option. We'll click on deploy. I'll choose the file. The file is present in the installers, workflow, infra RDM workflow.bpr. We'll just select it and click on open, and then click on deploy. It is deployed. We'll just click on close. After that, we'll be adding the URN mappings. For that, we'll come to the admin tab and URN mappings. We'll add a URN mapping. For that, the URN would be MDM REST service. And the URL, it will be HTTP, whatever is your host name, port /cmx/cs. And then we'll click on add update mapping. It is added. Now we'll log out from here. Coming on to the next step, we'll be populating the lookup data. And for that, we'll be using the SQL Server Management Studio. To get the lookup data, first I'll come to the installers. Here we'll be coming to the hub folder, scripts for data load. Over here, we can see this is the SQL provided to us. We'll just copy it. We'll just refresh it once so that the database might come. Yeah. Now coming on the new query. Yeah. So on running this queries, we'll see 6 rows got affected, 5 to 6 rows got affected. After that, coming on to the next step, configure the SOAP service. So for this, we'll be logging into the provisioning tool, and then we'll making the changes. Coming to the provisioning tool. From the provisioning tool, We'll navigate from business entity, extensions, SOAP services, RDM external call, and then endpoint. We can see the endpoint as of now is host and port. We'll change it to whatever we have. Localhost for me, and I'll save it and publish the changes. So that's all about the RDM installation on top of MDM. Hope you liked it. You can share your feedback on support videos at informatica.com or on this Twitter channel. Thank you.